What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Drew Deeks channel. Prospect season continues for the Montreal Canadiens. Who else you got, Ken? Bring it on. We love it. So the Montreal Canadiens officially signed to a 3-year entry-level contract forward Emil Heineman. And this actually I was going to touch on last week, but didn't get a chance to touch on it yet. Kind of a quiet signing for the Canadiens because, as we know, both of these players are going to be reporting to the Laval Rocket. Habs also signed NCAA free agent forward Lucas Condotta. So we know Emil Heineman, and he came over in the Tyler Toffoli trade. So now what are we going to see from this guy? Well, he's gonna head to Laval and hopefully help with their playoff push, and maybe also Lucas Condotta. But let's talk about Emil Heineman a bit more. So what I found interesting though about the trade and the piece that came over, which of course was Emil from the Calgary Flames, is that this deal. So he's already been through a couple of teams here. So initially drafted in the second round. Now we should mention that Emil Heineman is a second round draft pick, 43rd overall in the 2020 NHL entry draft by the Florida Panthers. So a second round pick, 43 overall. I mean, like that number is still pretty high to me. So a lot of people, I mean, initially, and this wasn't me, this is not me, I promise you, initially comparing him to Leon Draisaitl, but let's not go there right now. But let's talk about Emil. So this deal, he was with the Florida Panthers, as we mentioned. He was drafted and then traded to the Calgary Flames, where in 2021, him and a second round pick in exchange for Sam Bennett and a sixth-round pick that he went to Calgary in the Sam Bennett deal, and then he was acquired by the Canadiens on February 14th, along with Tyler Pitlick, cousin of Rem Pitlick, not brother, and a first-round pick in 2022 and a 2023 fifth-round pick for Tyler Toffoli. So we know this Emil could be the biggest piece coming out of, well, it's going to be either this or the first-round pick, but Emil Heineman, in terms of prospects right now, is potentially the biggest piece that's going to, be part of this Tyler Toffoli trade when we look at it in the long run. But we also know that Vinny Lecavalier had his eyes on Emil Heineman as part of the player recruitment department now with the Habs officially. And we have seen Vinny in person, as some of you did notice, but now actually going through and watching Emil's highlights and looking at the player profile, he is a lot faster than I realized. So what has me excited about Emil right now is his speed. And again, continuing the trend as the Habs just signed a scoring forward. I mentioned last week, Joshua Roy. He's still a few years away, maybe 2, maybe 3 years away. But in terms of Emil is 20 years old. He's 6'1", 185. So also his size is a good factor, but his speed is underrated. I think that's what I didn't realize so far about Emil Heineman, is that his speed is very underrated. He's a right winger, by the way. So he's a right winger. He shoots left, and his size is pretty decent. I looked at some highlights of him throwing some of the hits he was able to throw, and that sounded weird. I was looking at some of the highlights of his body checking, also looking for other elements of his game other than offense, because that's what you want to look for in forwards and centers, is making sure that they're defensively responsible. So didn't see a ton from his defensive game, but saw his playmaking ability. He's got some power play skill as well. But the biggest highlight so far with Emil Heineman, and the biggest surprise so far based on what I've seen, is his speed. So continuing that trend with guys like Joshua Roy that you're trying to bring in, you're trying to get a younger, faster team. That's the team that Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton are trying to build here, right? It's a higher skilled offensive team, something we haven't really seen from the Montreal Canadiens franchise. So now let's switch over to Lucas Condotta. So Lucas Condotta didn't get a lot of love last week in terms of this kind of quiet signing, because he's an NCAA free agent. So what do we know about him? He's 24 years old, 6'1", 209 pounds. So he's got a bigger frame on him. He actually bumped up in height and in weight during his time over the last several seasons. Now, his main work really came from playing with, the Pickering Panthers was his junior team, Hamilton Red Wings, Markham Royals. The Markham Royals team in the Ontario Junior Hockey League is really where he started to make his mark. And he got 82 points. That was his career high in 54 games. It's a junior league, as we know. So these numbers are inflated with the skill level that he plays with, right? But with the UMass Lowell in Michigan, that's where he's currently playing right now. In 33 games this season, 10 goals, 13 assists, 23 points in 33 games for Lucas Condotta. His plus-minus a +4. So that I'm encouraged by. And I think so far, based on what I've seen from Lucas Condotta, he's a big forward. He's a big forward who can score. He's skilled. His speed is decent. I don't think it was great. I think Emil's got more offensive or I should say a better speed on his skates right now that I've noticed anyway, but also leadership. There's a big leadership element coming from Lucas Condotta. He wore the C. He's wearing the C right now with the UMass Lowell team, wore it with the Markham Royals in the junior league. So what I do like is that the culture that the Canadiens are going for, never mind just the speed, offensive octane style they want to bring going forward into this restructure, rebuild, but also leadership. They're looking for character guys. And I know that was the thing with Marc Bergevin also, but these are also character guys that are up and comers, not just veterans in the league. So I think that that's the biggest encouraging sign here with Lucas, is that he's got a lot of leadership. He's got some presence about him. I watched a couple interviews with him. So I think he's got potential also, but if I have to pick one or the other, I'm probably a bit more excited, at least right now, about Emil Heineman. That being said, I like it because Lucas Condotta is also going to join Emil Heineman with the Laval Rocket on the playoff run potentially here coming up for the AHL's Laval Rocket. So let me know what you guys think quickly in the comments down below. We keep adding more prospects to the pool for the Habs, which I like, and these guys are going to go down and continue their development paths for the first time in the pro leagues in the AHL with the Laval Rocket. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of these players, and we'll continue that into our next discussion on whoever the Habs decide to sign next to an entry-level deal here. But Lucas was an interesting one because he was a free agent. So a nice little pickup for the Habs. I like how they're keeping the eye in the NCAA league and seeing what kind of hidden gems we can find. So hopefully Lucas Raymond's another one of those. But let me know what you guys think. As I just said 3 times. So I'll talk to you guys very soon. Cheers, guys.